As part of our Monza to Singapore series, we've asked you to send in some questions for Toto Wolff, and we've got some time with him now. So Toto, I'm going to give you some questions to answer.
Very good.
Very good. Okay, so first up we have a question on Facebook from Nadine Cherry Lee Williams. Thank you for your question. Why is Singapore one of the toughest races on the F1 calendar, particularly for Mercedes?
It has been a difficult race for us over a while already, and I believe that every car has a certain DNA. And you can see that with the Mercedes, we are very strong on fast circuits with lots of downforce through very fast corners. And around Singapore, it's a street circuit, very tight. And for whatever reason, we've never been able to look really strong there. But we've recovered well. And last year we've won the race, and that was a great moment. And this year again, we try to do the utmost to somehow continue where we stopped in Monza.
Well, that brings me nicely on to a question we've had on Twitter from Edo. Saying, do you think the car has improved for a track such as Singapore? Because as you say, these slow, twisty circuits seem to suit Red Bull and Ferrari much more than your car.
I think we will continue to see that certain cars perform much better on certain type of circuits. And certainly Singapore is more a track that suits the Ferrari and the Red Bull and less us. But if you go out there in the offices, everybody's so flat out to just make the best out of Singapore.
Well, we have been following people in the team all around the different departments. Everyone is flat out. Louis on Twitter says, what do the team do to prepare the setup for Singapore, and how much is decided now and how much during practice? Because everyone's busy now. Are they making decisions at the factory at the moment?
In modern Formula One, a lot is happening before, because in the best case, you want to put your car on the track on Friday morning and the setup is right. So lots of simulations are going on in the mathematical world. Then the work in the simulator itself, there is our sim drivers in there trying lots of various setups, and we're doing the aero mapping, so all the configuration that is necessary to make a car go fast is happening as we speak.
Great stuff. Okay, another question in on Twitter from James Murliotta. Talking of drivers, do you have a separate debrief with Valtteri and Lewis? So between this sort of Monza to Singapore period?
Normally, yes. The team would come together, and on the Monday after the race, we would debrief the heads of departments. This is a group of 30-40 people. We
saw that in part one.
Very good, and it's a very important part of the debrief. And then each of the groups would then debrief their own staff, and the same happens with the drivers. The engineers get in touch with the drivers, and they would normally come back into the factory and do a day of simulator before we deploy the group to the next race.
Now, James Marilotta has also asked you if you get any downtime during this time, because it seems like everyone is busy, but have you managed to have a bit of time off since Italy?
No, because
no?
We had a nice Sunday evening, because we had you would think that after winning the Italian Grand Prix like we did, you would have a glamorous evening, but Susie and I invited James Allison to our home, and we had an Indian takeaway. And
nice!
It was really nice.
What type of curry do you have?
I don't know how these things are called. You know, I'm in Austria. There isn't really any curry. So
are you a hot man? Do you like it hot?
Hot, yeah. It was chicken tikka, whatever.
Masala.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, this one. Yeah, and we enjoyed it. We enjoyed ourselves, and since then it's flat out in the factory.
Meister Henry has asked on Facebook, he says, first of all, dear Mr. Wolff, congrats for Monza, absolutely. How do you cope with the stress of flyaway races, and considering the logistics involved are enormous? We've been looking at logistics in our series. How do you deal with the stress?
Everybody needs to find his own way. For me, I particularly struggle going east. I have no problem traveling west. I can sleep immediately. I have no jet. I don't suffer from jet lag. And I don't suffer coming back home, so there is a psychological factor, I guess, in jet lag. Japan is a very bad one. I can't really sleep, although I love the country. So what we do is we work together with NASA. We have a doctor that is a NASA doctor that develops sleeping plans for astronauts, and we're having a full box with kit. Sleep mask, eye shades, earplugs, blue lights, various pills, funny pills, sleeping pills, and
all above board.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you see me with a particular smile in an airplane, that means I had one of these. and that helps a lot in order to be fit, because you must not forget we are arriving in Asia some of the guys on the Wednesday morning, others on the Thursday or on the Friday morning, and you need to work normal hours. And then come back and have a normal office job also on the Monday. The racing, 90% of the racing happens in the office. It's just the pinnacle of the top of the iceberg you see at the racetrack.
Great question, and again, great information, Toto, thank you. Tim Wagner on Twitter has asked, with the workload at each race, do you ever wish that you could just sit and watch a race as a fan?
Yeah,
do you miss it?
Yeah, the pressure is enormous, because you're just as good as your last race. And you will see you can be top in Monza and not good in Singapore. And I don't want to preempt that, but you're being written up, you're being written down. And this is the same expectations I set to myself. If we have a bad race weekend, it's just disaster. And a good one makes you feel very happy. So this constant pressure to deliver every single race weekend throughout every single year is very tough.
So maybe watching it as a fan one day would be quite nice.
One day I will come back as a non-executive director or as a fan, and I will just enjoy the ride.
So let's talk about preparing for next year, because I'm sure you're already well into preparation for 2018. Lars Bosner has asked on Twitter, how difficult at this stage is the balance between concentrating on winning 2017 and preparing for 2018? How are you managing that?
It is a question we ask ourselves every week, because of course you switch resource to the next year's project quite early on in the year. That would normally happen in springtime, that a small group of individuals would already start on next year's car. And now that the fight is very tough, every week we are recalibrating our thinking. Is it right to switch all the resource into next year? Are there areas where we believe there is a benefit in continuing the current car because the regulations stay the same next year? So that is quite a challenging thought process that happens every week.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you so much for all of your questions. Toto, thank you for your answers and for your time, because as I'm sure you will have seen throughout the series, everybody is busy here at Brackley and no doubt in Brixworth. So thank you so much. Good luck for Singapore, and we will all be watching.